Hi guys, it's LeJanaro back with another video, and today I am doing something I haven't done in a very long time, a bag tutorial. I've been wanting to make a drawstring bag for a very long time. When I was selling bags and selling them and mailing them off, I always wanted to make drawstring bags and put my logo on them to send to customers, but I just never got around to doing it. So I decided, what better time than now to make a drawstring bag. So here's the bag. It's not it's cuter in person, I promise. But it's a drawstring bag, and it has like a little paper bag drawstring waist type thing on it. It's super cute. I made it out of some Inquires print fabric that I got from Fine Fabrics, and I'm going to take you step by step in how I made this bag. Right? I don't know how I'm gonna get a good picture of this for for my Instagram page, but anyway, I hope you can see. Let me open it up. So this is what it looks like when the drawstring is not tightened, and then when you tighten the drawstring, right, I'm going to go over everything you're going to need to make this bag. I don't think I missed anything in the telling you about the tools, but if I did miss something, I will definitely have all of the tools linked down in the description box below. And I know I talk about this, I think, in the next clip, but you can use any tote bag tutorial. I will give you 2 suggestions, but you can use any tote bag tutorial, because all you need is the base of the bag, the handles, and a pocket if you choose to use a pocket, and your drawstrings. All right, so let's get started making this drawstring bag. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to need for this tutorial. You're going to need any tote bag pattern. This is Quick Sew and Simplicity. This is Quick Sew 4378 and Quick Sew 9308. This is the same exact pattern. I think Simplicity has taken over Quick Sew, so this is the exact same pattern. But any tote bag pattern that you have, you choose any size and the pattern that you want to choose. But grab you just a regular tote bag pattern. Right? I will link everything in the description box below. I think I have everything you need here, but if not, I will link everything in the description box. You're going to need some scissors. You're going to need some for paper and fabric. Don't mix your 2 scissors. The paper scissors are to trim your pattern. Your fabric scissors cut your fabric and your interfacing. You're going to need a marking pen or a chalk roller, either a safety pin or a bodkin, whatever you use to weed through the drawstring. You're going to need drawstring. I don't have that here, but you are going to need some drawstring. Nothing too thick and nothing too big, because your opening is not going to be that big. You're going to need some fabric. I'm using this Inquires print fabric I got from Fine Fabrics, and this just cotton fabric that I got from Hobby Lobby as my lining. You're going to need some interfacing. I recommend the SF101. This is not SF101. This is just some cheap interfacing that I bought from Joann's when it was on sale, just to use strictly for tutorials, because I don't want to use my SF101. But I definitely recommend SF101. That's a kind of a lightweight interfacing, because you don't want this bag to be too heavy. All right, and then you are going to need a ruler. Right, of course you're going to need your sewing machine, coordinating thread. I think that's it. If I forgot anything, I will make sure that I link everything that I use in the description box below. Right, so let's get started. Alright, so once you have your pattern, go ahead and get your pieces out. You're going to need the main piece, and you choose what piece you're going to use. I think there are 3 sizes in the pattern: small, medium, and large. I'm going to do the medium, so you need your main piece. And for this simplicity pattern, it says bag cut 2, so I'm going to cut 2 of my main fabric, and I'm going to cut 2 of my lining pieces out of the main bag piece. The next piece is my handle, right? I'm going to cut 2 of my main fabric for this. And for the bag piece, also cut 2 pieces of interfacing. Right, so my handle, I'm going to cut 2 pieces of the main fabric, and if you want to add a pocket, you grab your pocket piece and you cut 2 of your pocket pieces. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start cutting my fabric. I'm going to use some pattern weights, my normal pattern weights that I use. You get them from a variety of places. I think Mommy got mine from Lowe's, I believe. Either Lowe's or Home Depot. That's one thing I forgot to mention when telling you what you were going to need. So something to hold down your patterns, whether you use pins, pattern weights, whatever it is you use. I want to order some pattern weights from this lady. She does custom pattern weights. I need to find her name and link it, but I think she's always a sponsor for during the BHM Pattern Designers Challenge. I think she's always one of the sponsors. So I want to get some pattern weights from her with my logo on it. So one thing I am going to do, I'm not cutting my cutouts, my gussets right now, because I'm going to make them bigger. Right now they are 1.5. Right, I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to make them 2. So I'm not going to cut them right now. I'm going to cut them a little later. But instead of making, if you want your gussets to be 1.5, you go ahead and cut out yours. But I'm going to do mine at least 2 or 2.5 because I want my bottom to be a little bit wider. So I'm just going to take my ruler and just measure out what I want to cut them as. And since I already got this fabric here, I'm going to go ahead and cut my handles. Alright, so now this gusset. I'm going to make it 2 1/4. So I'm going to come up. 2 1/4, and I'm gonna go over 2 1/4. I feel like that. Okay, there we go. All right. And I'm just going to fold my fabric in half, and so I can just cut both sides at one time. So if you don't want to cut the size of the gussets, that's the size of your pattern, you just measure out what you want to cut it as. And I did mine 2 1/4. All right. Now it doesn't look cut even, but that's what happens when you don't press your fabric. Alrighty. So I'm just going to cut out my lining, and then I'll be ready to, my lining and my interfacing, and then I'll be ready to add my interfacing to my main pieces. Alright, so I got all my pieces cut. I got my 2 pocket pieces cut. So 1, 2. And I didn't cut interfacing for my pocket because this Inquire print is pretty thick, and I didn't want to make it too bulky. I cut 2 of my handle. I also didn't cut any interfacing for my handle. I may go back and cut some, I may not. But if you're using a cotton cloth that's pretty thin, you definitely want to make sure you cut some interfacing for your handles. And this is the main bag. I have my 2 main pieces. I have my interfacing for my 2 main pieces. And I have my 2 lining pieces. Alright, so I'm getting ready to go ahead and iron my interfacing. And I did remove my mat because if you watched the video a long time ago, you know that I had something like this on top of my mat and it warped my mat. So, lesson learned. Right, so with interfacing, you want to make sure you iron the interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, yeah, this is the wrong side. It's so hard sometimes to figure out with Inquire print which side is the wrong side. Right. I'm just pressing some of these wrinkles out. Something I should have did before I cut the fabric. Lesson, if your fabric is wrinkled, before you start, run an iron across it. Alright, so this is the wrong side of my fabric. Let me make sure y'all can see what I'm doing. I got all of these colors. My ironing board cover, the fabric. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit. Hopefully that's a better view. All right. So this is the wrong side of my fabric. And I'm going to take my interfacing. Your interfacing has a bumpy side and a smooth side. The bumpy side of your interfacing should be facing the wrong side of your fabric, because the bumpy side is the sticky side. Right, I'm going to take my pressing cloth So once I put my pressing cloth on here, you won't be able to see, but I'm just using the pressing cloth to press down my interfacing. Depends on who you talk to. Some people say don't move your iron back and forth. I'm in a hurry because I start work in a few hours. So I want to get at least half of this film before I start work. But some people just say put your iron down for about 10 seconds in each spot. So I want you to do it the right way, or whatever way works for you. Right? I'm just going to move this up and finish ironing my interfacing. And then I'm going to do the other main piece the same way. Alright, got one piece done. I'm just gonna do the other piece and then we'll get to the fun part. Okay, so I got my interfacing ironed on. These are my handles. So I'm gonna go ahead and press my handles and also pin my pocket. Y'all know I like to batch sew, so alright, so I'm going to take my pocket pieces and take one, not my pocket, sorry, my handle. I'm going to fold it in half. Alright, and this is a long edge here. Half with the wrong sides facing, right? Right. Then I'm going to take one end, fold it to that crease, and press. Flip this around and then just take the other side and fold it to the crease and press. Right, now I got both sides folded into the crease. Now I'm just gonna fold it in half and press. I'm going to do the same thing to my other handle. Then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew down both edges. This is my pocket. My pocket, I have right sides facing. And I'm going to pin all the way around and I'm going to leave an opening in my pocket. We need that opening to turn it to the right side. Right. And if you want to, you can use different color pins to let you know that's where you start and stop for your opening. I'm going to pin, pin, pin. Pin, pin, pin. Alright, so I'm going to take my, along with my handles, I'm going to take my pocket and I'm going to sew from one pin all the way around and stop at this other pin. Make sure you do your back stitching to hold your stitches in place. And I'm going to be sewing, when I sew my pocket and my bag together, I'm going to be sewing it at a 1/2 inch. Now that you've got your pocket sewn together, I'm just going to clip my corners, get as close to the stitching as you can without going over the stitching. You can also trim your pocket down some of that seam allowance. Right, I leave some of my seam allowance at the bottom where my opening is, just as a guide. Right, so take that opening and you're going to turn your pocket to the right side. I'm going to poke out all of my corners and then give it a good press. Just need to make sure you all can see what I'm doing. Alright. And try not to burn myself on the iron. Right, and I keep a little bit of that seam allowance so I can tuck it in to my opening. Right, give this a good press because it's very wrinkled. I'm going to fold this in half so I can get the middle. I need that. Right, I'm going to grab one of my lining pieces. And I'm going to fold it in half just to get the middle. And you can press these creases out later if you want to. Right. And I'm going to take my pocket. Make sure that the opening is facing down towards the bottom. And using my 2 creases, I'm just going to add my pocket. This is a good way to make sure your pocket is centered. And I'm just eyeballing this, but this looks like it might be 2.5 to 3 inches down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew down the side across the bottom, making sure I close my opening, and then back up the side. You want to leave your top part open. And since you have this crease here, if you want your pocket to have 2 pockets, you can sew down that crease if you want to. I think I will. Alright. Now once you sew your pocket and give it a press, you can get those creases out. You take your other lining piece, place them with right sides facing. You're going to pin. You pin down one side, all the way down one side, and on the other side you leave an opening, and then you pin across the bottom. So when you take it to the sewing machine to sew, you're going to sew all the way across the bottom, all the way down one side, and then the side where you left the opening, we'll do like we did. And then the side with the opening, you'll have pins here. So for example, you'll pin here and you'll pin here. And this lets you know where you need to leave your opening. So leave about a 4 to 5 inch opening. So you'll sew down to one pin, stop, make sure you do your back stitching at the beginning and the end. Come down to the next pin, do your back stitching, and then sew all the way to the bottom. Alright, so you want to make sure you leave an opening in one side because you need to be able to use that opening to turn the bag once we're done. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pin this. This is my lining with the pocket. Just going to take the other lining piece, place them with the right sides facing, and just going to pin. And remember, you are leaving an opening on one side of your lining. So I'm just going to use different color pins to let me know where to start. And then I'll sew down, stop, come here, sew down, sew down. Tripping over my words. To remember, so that I'll remember to leave my opening, because we have to turn the bag. And if you want to, you can leave an opening in the bottom. Sometimes I leave an opening in the bottom, sometimes I leave an opening in the side. Whatever floats your boat. Alright, just going to take this to the sewing machine, sew down, sew across, and then sew and leave my opening. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to take our main pieces and we're going to measure down 1 3/4 inches. Alright. We're going to do this on both pieces. 1 3/4 inches. And this is where you're going to need your marking pen and your ruler. Right. And you're going to make a mark all the way across. Alright? Going to do that for both pieces. Right? And once you get that first mark at 1 3/4, you're going to measure down 3/4 of an inch from that line. All right. So you measure down 1 3/4 inches, and then from that line you're going to measure down 3/4 of an inch. So you need 2 lines. Right, so you're going to measure down 1 3/4 inches. That's your first line, 1 3/4 inches. And then your second line, 3/4 inches. Alright, so go ahead and grab your main piece and your pattern piece, because now you want to place your handles now that you got your handles sewn together. Right, so I'm just going to place my pattern piece here. And my pattern piece has handle placement. So this is where I'm going to place my handles. Right, it's easier for me to do it this way than to try to measure and all that good stuff. Just take your pattern piece, if your pattern piece has that on it. Mine says handle placement. Right, and you do the same thing with the other main piece and the other handle, and you're just going to take it to the sewing machine and baste it in place. Right, so you're going to take both of your pieces, and if you need to mark the other side as well, so you'll know where to start and stop. You're going to take both your pieces, place them with the right sides facing. Let me grab my ruler again. And this is just so you'll know where to start and stop sewing. Right. because I realized I wasn't going to see those chart marks once I put these right sides facing. But I do still need them because that's how I'm going to make my casing for my drawstring. Alright, so with right side, when you put these right sides facing, you're going to start from here, sew down, so backstitch at the beginning and backstitch here at the 1 3/4, and then you'll start back sewing at the 3/4. And make sure you backstitch there because you want to make sure that's secure. So you'll start here, you'll sew down to here, backstitch at the beginning and the end, then come down here to the 3/4, backstitch, and then sew all the way down, and then you'll also sew across the bottom. All right, so you'll pin these together and sew. Alright, now for your gussets, you still want to have your fabric with the right side spacing. I have my hand through the hole here. What you're going to do, you're going to line up your seam allowance on the side and your seam allowance on the bottom. So just gonna take it, squeeze it together, and line up your bottom seam allowance and your side seam allowance. And you can press this, you know, to make it a little bit nice and neat, a little bit more nice and neat. All right. All right. You got both your seam allowances together here, and you're just going to sew across. You're going to do the same thing on the other side, and you're going to do the same thing with the lining. And pressing would definitely help a little bit more, right? All right. So I got my lining sewn and my bag sewn. Go ahead and turn your main bag to the right side. And if you need to now, if your lines that you made earlier are a little faint, you can go ahead and redraw those lines if you want to. Right? So now you're going to take your lining and your main bag, and you're going to place your main bag inside of your lining so that they are right sides facing. So I turned my main bag to the right side. I left my lining with the wrong side facing out. So I'm just going to take my main bag and place it inside of my lining. Make sure you tuck those straps in. And I'm going to make sure my seam allowances on the side are lining up properly. And I'm going to pin all the way around. So I'm doing my sides first with my seam allowances. Right? And I'm just going to continue to pin all the way around. Ow, I just poked myself with a pin. I knew it was too good to be true. I was getting too close to the end of the bag and I hadn't poked myself yet. I've been wanting to make a drawstring bag for a really long time. I don't know what took me so long. Guess I just wanted to make the perfect one. When I was selling bags, I wanted to make drawstring bags to put the finished bags in that I made, but I just never got around to it. Alright, so I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew around. Okay, now that we have sewn our lining and our main bag together, find the opening that you left in the lining and pull the main bag through. Make sure you have everything straightened out. Make sure you poke out all of your corners. And since I am using cotton, I can give this a press. Alright. So now what you want to do, you just want to close up this opening that you left in the lining. And I'm just going to sew really close to that edge. And I'm going to place my lining inside my bag. Alright. Alright, so a couple of things you want to do. I'm going to do everything at one time so I don't have to leave the sewing machine. Alright, so straighten this out with your lining tucked on the inside of the bag. So what you're going to do, you're going to first top stitch this after you close your opening in your lining. You're going to first give the bag a good press if you need to. You're going to top stitch around, alright? And then remember those two lines that we drew earlier, right? You are going to sew around all the way around each line because you should have an opening here. You should have an opening here and you should have an opening here. Alright? So my lines are really faint. You can't see them probably. But after you top stitch across the top, then you go down to that first line that you drew. You sew all the way around and then drop down to the second line that you drew and you sew all the way around. That's going to create the casing for our drawstring. Alright? now that you have your casing sewn, go ahead and grab your drawstring, whatever it is you're going to use. These are just little drawstring thingies that I got from Fine Fabrics. These are longer than I would want to use. I would say have your drawstring be about 30 inches. I think that's good. So I'm just going to take my bodkin and I'm just going to weed it through one of my openings, and I'm going to go all the way around until I get back to this side. Alright. I don't know the best way to do this so y'all can see it. Well, hopefully you can see it, and hopefully I don't lose this string. Oops. Now you don't want to do that. You don't want to come out this side. You want to keep going. This is not the most elegant of way of doing it, but I'm getting it through. And hopefully y'all can see it. But yeah, mine is a little bit longer than I would like it to be. Right, and bring it through the other side. Where you started. You're going all the way back to where you started. Alright, so that's one. And you want two of these. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to tie this end off. Just take my two pieces. And this is the same drawstring, so I'm just tying that off. So now I'm going to take my other drawstring and I'm going to weave that through the other end. Alright. So I started on this end this time. This time I'm going to go on the opposite end of the bag. Alright. Might have been easier with a safety pin. Alright, I'm almost at the back at the end I started. There we go. There we go. That was work. Right, so I'm just gonna take this end and tie it off just like I did the other end. I'm gonna have to give my bag a good press. All right, so just take your 2 drawstrings and just pull them together. And you have a really cute drawstring bag. All right, that is it. That is how I made this really cute drawstring bag. All right. Again, because it's just made out of cotton cloth, it doesn't have a lot of structure to it. I guess you could do fusible fleece if you're using a cotton cloth, just to give it a little bit more body to the bag. But I think this is fine as just a drawstring bag. You can spruce it up if you want to. You know, depending on the type of material that you use, you can spruce it up. It just has these handles on it, so you can carry it like that. But maybe you want a crossbody. I don't know. I don't know how it would, you know, go with the drawstring, but I guess it's an idea. You just take your drawstrings and bring them together. And you have a cute little bag. All right. If you have any questions for me, just place them down in the description box below and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Question of the day. What is your favorite brand of blue jeans? So what store, what company, what brand makes your favorite blue jeans? Mine is Old Navy, just because they fit me. New York and Company. I haven't worn any New York and Company. Is New York and Company still a thing? I think it is, because Gabrielle Union has her line, right? I haven't been to, well, they closed all the New York and Companies. But prior to them closing, I hadn't been to New York and Company in years. Simply because their prices was just astronomical. But I think their blue jeans, I think they were okay. When I used to wear New York and Company jeans, I used to wear low-rise jeans. And they would like lay right on my hip. You know, anywho. But then I started wanting jeans that kind of came up a little bit. So Old Navy, I would say Old Navy hands down. And I haven't been to Old Navy in a while either, so I'm not sure if they still do the $10 jeans, but I know sometimes they will have a sale and the jeans will be $10. Like I said, I haven't been in a while, so I don't know if they're still doing that. But hands down, their jeans. Actually, JCPenney sells Lee jeans, and they also have their own brand of jeans, as well as corduroy pants. They fit me good. I forgot about JCPenney. Yeah, so JCPenney and Old Navy run neck and neck. But with JCPenney, I wear the Lee jeans. They have they still sell Lee jeans. And then their brand of jeans, JCPenney, I don't know their brand, I can't remember. But their brand of jeans and their brand of corduroy pants fit me really, really well. All right. Or do you make your own jeans? There are a couple of jean patterns out there that I want to try. I think one of them is the ginger jeans. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made that pattern. Mimi G has a jeans pattern. I cut it out many moons ago when she first came out with the pattern, because I think it has the bomber jacket with it as well. I think it's two separate patterns, but I think that's how it's modeled with the jeans. Don't quote me. So I made the bomber jacket, and then I was going to make the jeans. I cut the jeans out, everything, in a size 12, and put it over in the corner. And now I am no longer a size 12 in pattern. So I actually don't even know. I don't even know what happened to it, but anyway, it was some really nice stretch denim fabric, and I cut those jeans out, and I had every intention on making them. Don't remember what happened and why I didn't make them. But yeah, so let me know in the comments, have you made your own jeans? If not, what is your favorite brand of jeans? Like I said, mine is Old Navy and New York and Company, JCPenney. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified each time I post a new video. And I will see you in the next one.